Hello and a warm welcome back to the Pitchside podcast. I am your host, the HOD, the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from the episodes of the podcast and all the other content on the channel. And I've been doing a couple of new things here on the channel. Feel free to check them out. Follow us on social media site, PSP on Twitter, Pitchside on Instagram again. Listen on Spotify, Google Podcast or any other platform to the podcast. And of course, join us for more. You are welcome, and episode 161. They were quite the scenes, of course, in Spain. We have to start there, obviously. It was quite the scene in Spain as Atletico Madrid lifted Laliga trophy, of course, after 7 seasons. From the last time they did back in 2014, they finally managed to achieve the dream, I would say, probably of Diego Simeone and for Atletico side winning a Liga title after turning things around against Valladolid in the final day of the season, winning 2-1. And it was Luis Suarez, of course, bringing in the goals for Atletico Madrid, scoring the second goal for Atletico Madrid after the first goal was scored, or the equaliser was scored by by Angel Correa in the 57th minute after Oscar Plano opened the scoring for Valladolid. It was sweaty, it was nervous, it was thrilling, exciting, whatever you want to call it. But in the end, it was Atletico Madrid finally winning a Liga title, and I think maybe getting the recognition that it probably deserve in Europe as Spanish champions. I mean, they were the team that almost gets there but doesn't quite do so in Spain for the last 6 seasons or so. They've been making achievements in Europe, getting the Champions League finals, winning Europa League titles, but never being quite close to the heights they reached in 2014. And this season, I mean, it's an opinion that I still believe in. This wasn't a title race in the sense that all the 3 teams were super strong and they were heading into the final season, or the final day of the season, as super strong and competing with each other. It was more of Atletico Madrid letting the other sides in, because you look at Real Madrid this season, they were quite average for the most part. You look at Barcelona, yes, they had a good run in the middle of the season, but I think it was mostly down to Messi being super great, and for Koeman finding somehow a formation that worked for a while. But I don't think it was a title race in the traditional sense. It was pretty much, again, Atletico Madrid having a lead of 11 points potentially, but letting it slip all over the place, which is bad, again, in its own right. So clearly, of course, congratulations go to Atletico Madrid, congratulations go to Luis Suarez in particular, who was booted at Barcelona because he was old. He was told to be old. He was told to be that good old dog that needs a sling, that's the slug in the back of his head, and that doesn't really, have anything left in him, which was really, which is really a bad thing to say to someone like Luis Suarez, and a bad thing to insinuate to someone like Luis Suarez. And clearly, he sort of took it to heart and worked hard with Atletico Madrid, scoring 21 goals this season. I mean, that is, I think, overachieving for Atletico Madrid, for Luis Suarez himself, because you expect someone like him at his age, if he's not that good as people were trying to promote it, that he would have 12, 15 goals at the very best. But in the end, he ended up having 21 goals, and he ended up helping Atletico Madrid towards a La Liga title that, again, and I will really insist on this opinion, that they should have won a little bit earlier if it wasn't for their stubbornness, for their own sloppiness in a couple of matches midway through the season. But the early form was tremendous. The later form was fantastic as well, as they kept winning games, grinding out those nervous wins for the last couple of games. This result and the previous result against Osasuna were pretty nerve-wracking for the Atletico Madrid fans, but in the end they won't really care. They won't give absolutely 2 Fs about it. They won the league and they will celebrate it for a while. Obviously, this is not going to be the last they're going to be talking about Atletico Madrid. We're going to be making, going to be talking about them in another episode, hopefully, when the season gets fully over with the Premier League and Serie A being over today. Hopefully, you're going to be getting to talk about them in a proper episode and analyse their season in some way. The other Madrid team that was competing for them with the title and going with them neck and neck till the last day was Real Madrid, and they had a similar scenario against Villarreal, losing at halftime 1-0, the opener from Yeremy Pino in the 20th minute. Real Madrid, unlike Atletico Madrid, they didn't start strong in that game. The difference between Real Madrid's game and Atletico Madrid's game is that Atletico started stronger, they wanted the win, and they were caught on the counter for that goal. Real Madrid on the other side, they started slow and started bad, and they didn't go for it. They didn't try to put pressure on Atletico Madrid by taking the lead, obviously, because definitely there's someone on both camps that are going to be following the other game. So Real Madrid didn't do that. They opened themselves for Villarreal. They invited Villarreal to come at them, despite the fact that they didn't need to make any effort. Villarreal, I mean, they're already qualifying to the next season's Conference League, which is, it's going to be quite the deal. We're going to be talking about it also in a separate thing. Real Madrid's start was again bad, as probably most of their games this season. Then you have they left it really, really late to start getting anything of the game, and by the time Luka Modric scored the second goal in the 92nd minute, it was done a deal, I think, and was etched in the stones that Atletico Madrid are Laliga champions, and Karim Benzema, at least Karim Benzema scored another goal for him, which is another improvement, another sort of approval stamp of why he should be in that French national team for the Euros. So, again, Real Madrid this season, also we have to give them credit. We don't give Atletico Madrid only credit, we give them credit as well for being a side, that sort of overachieved as well this season, and most credit to that goes to Zidane. I think goes to probably 4 people in the Real Madrid squad. Zidane, or 5 people: Zidane, Karim Benzema, and the trio in the middle, which is Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, and Casemiro. Albeit Casemiro might be the least of the 5 to get the credit. So I would give Modric, Kroos a lot of credit to being consistent this season. I would say when the whole Real Madrid squad felt so underwhelmingly inconsistent, the likes of Asensio not giving 100% performances, Isco being a fringe player that probably in a tile as well, Vinicius Junior dipping in and out of form, Eden Hazard being completely in the hospital for the whole season. You look at the defenders being injured. Even Sergio Ramos didn't have the best of seasons this time around. The injuries, COVID, his performances are not good naturally now and this time of age and his time of his career. Marcelo being completely obsolete, I would say. That's why he was put on the transfer list. There's only a handful of players you could point out and say these players improved a lot this season. Lucas Vázquez, you look at maybe Federico Valverde. Federico Valverde already improving, I would say, and probably you could even say Nacho and Eder Militao in the later parts of the season. But overall, an underwhelmingly inconsistent Real Madrid side that was average in the most of the season. And again, they were overachievers by coming to this point of the season, to this last day of the season, competing for the title and having even the slimmest of chances to win in it. It's credit to Zidane and credit to some of those players for being consistent and being the linchpins for that team over the course of the season. It's not good. It's the first trophyless season since 2009-2010. That is bad. But I think as far as the improvements, Zidane in particular, I think, had his best managerial season. Yes, he was out of the Champions League because he sort of overthought things, but he knew how to deal with a squad, and to get a squad like that, an aging squad, a squad with, let's face it, average performances, that doesn't put in the shifts needed sometimes, to get that to a Champions League semi-final, to get that to competing for the Liga title until the last day of the season is quite the miracle, quite the achievement, and Zidane should take all the credit, even if it is his last game of the season. The future is still bleak for Zidane. We talked about that in the magazine episode yesterday. Check that out if you want to. The future is bleak for Zidane, and we're still, looking forward to what is going to happen for him personally and what is going to be the situation with Real Madrid in the future. Elsewhere, of course, in La Liga, and after Levante drawn against Cadiz on Friday 2-2, Celta Vigo lost to Real Betis on Saturday. A 10-man Real Betis 3-2. Of course, Nabil Fekir, an underrated player this season, but another great performance of his, scoring a goal and obviously having one of the best games, being one of the best players for Betis this season. Despite Diego Aspas opening the scoring in the 32nd minute, Bryce Mendes equalising for, or adding the second for Celta Vigo in the 49th minute. Real Betis managed to make the full turnaround and score 3 goals in the space of 20 minutes. Borja Iglesias from the penalty spot. Nabil Fekir, beautiful free kick by the way. Victor Ruiz managed to make it 3-2 for Real Betis. I think Nabil Fekir really at the very least deserves to be one of the players of the season in La Liga, if not moving into a bigger club really, because that is what he deserves. He's really a great player. He was about to move to Liverpool, it didn't go down so well for him, so move to Betis wasn't that bad after all, but he went away I think from the lights in the last season or so. But Eibar lost to Barcelona 1-0, and the way I'm talking about this game casually is because the game itself was pretty casual. Barcelona didn't have anything to do with the first half or so. Then, Eibar were the most dangerous side for the first half and most of the game really. Then Barcelona started moving a little bit faster and stronger forward. Messi was rested, obviously he's part of the Argentine Copa America squad for sure, so he's taken rest. Antoine Griezmann scored the only goal for Barcelona. This is a game where it's a glimpse of what would happen for Barcelona when Messi eventually leaves, when he doesn't play the 90 minutes. That is, I think, this is a bad prospect, by the way, for Barcelona, at least in the near future. I'm not going to say that it will stay that forever, but at the near future, at the very least, it will be a bad prospect for Barcelona, playing without someone like Lionel Messi, who moves really the ball pretty quickly for them and really helps them a lot of situations. Huesca drawn 0-0 against Valencia, of course guaranteeing them officially getting relegated to the second division in Spain. Osasuna lost to Real Sociedad 1-0. Real Madrid, as I mentioned, defeated Villarreal 2-1, and Atletico Madrid defeated Valladolid 2-1. Congratulations again for them for winning the championship. We know officially who's going to be relegated. Huesca, Real Valladolid and Eibar, the three of them officially are going to be going down to the second division in Spain. 2 matches left of this last round of the season: Granada versus Getafe and Sevilla versus Deportivo Alaves. The teams that are going to be qualifying to the Champions League: Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid, Barcelona and Sevilla. To the Europa League: Real Betis, Real Sociedad and Betis. And for the Conference League, it's of course Villarreal, who have a Europa League final that could get them another place in the Champions League and could give Celta Vigo a place for the UEFA Conference League. Who knows what could happen? Moving on from La Liga and from the celebration of Atletico Madrid, moving on to Germany, to the Bundesliga, and the final round indeed of that league as well. The curtain is put down on a beautiful season, I would say, for German football, and a beautiful season for Bayern at the very least. In the end it was, at least winning the league title, and Robert Lewandowski holds the record for the single most top goal scorer in one season of the Bundesliga to his own. Now it is 41 goals for him after he netted the 5th of 5 against Augsburg in a 5-2 win that was pretty pedestrian for Bayern. They won 4-0 by half time, then they let themselves loose a little bit, and they conceded 2 goals. It was a bit of celebration. It was a bit of a sort of a farewell tour for the likes of David Alaba, Javi Martinez and Jerome Boateng, and of course Hansi Flick, the coach, is leaving after that game. Of course, with the 4 of them starting this last game, and certainly giving themselves, getting a big, I think it wasn't the big send-off that I hoped for, certainly not with the crowds and all of that to soak in the adulation, soak in the love from the fans, of course, for the likes of David Alaba, Javi Martinez and Boateng, who were servants for the club for years. Hansi Flick, who brought the sextuple for Bayern, sort of restoring Bayern's global domination, also global sort of dimension, I would say, for that club once again. Definitely it was a pretty emotional moment. Jerome Boateng was almost crying when he was subbed off the field. It was big scenes. It was really big scenes in the Allianz Arena. The only thing that was missing was a crowd, obviously. 5-2. Robert Lewandowski gets in the 41st goal of his season, and of course from 99 goals he's scoring 41. That is quite crazy, really, for Bayern Munich, who finished top of the league. RB Leipzig finishing just 1 point ahead of the third place Dortmund after another bad game. Of course, this was not the farewell, this was not the send-off that Julian Nagelsmann would have hoped for, losing the DFB Pokal, and then of course losing again here at Union Berlin in the last game of the season. Of course, they were leading 1-0 with Justin Kluivert in 55 minutes, and they were really on their way to win the game, but Marvin Friedrich equalised in the 67th minute. Then of course, in the last possible moment, Max Kruse scores the second for Union Berlin, getting them a place into the European Conference League, which is quite nice, to be fair. Of course, Borussia Dortmund defeated Bayer Leverkusen 3-1. It was another great game for them. As of late, this late run was amazing, I would say, for them. Erling Haaland scoring twice in the game, with Marco Reus coming in between. Lars Bender in another emotional send-off and farewell for him and his brother twin Sven Bender, who are both leaving Leverkusen at the end of the season. He scored the only goal of the game for Bayer Leverkusen from the penalty spot at the 89th minute. Bayer Leverkusen are going to be playing in the Europa League next season, which is, I mean, not quite what they wanted, but still it is a pretty good finish anyway. Frankfurt are going to be playing in the Europa League as well, which is not a good finish for them, despite being ambitious about the Champions League early on in the campaign. They defeated Freiburg in the last game of the season 3-1. It was a pretty turgid game from Freiburg. We could have done a little bit better, but definitely they deserve losing, I would say. Eintracht Frankfurt were better, and they won 3-1 convincingly, I would say. Almami Toure and Ragnar Ake scoring late goals to add to Andre Silva's penalty in the 62nd minute, while Wu Yong-jong scored the 76th minute equaliser for Freiburg in that game. From the top four, we go to the bottom three of the Bundesliga, and now we know who's going to be relegated officially and who's going to be playing the playoff. Köln are going to be playing the playoffs after defeating Schalke 1-0. The goal was so late in the game, and the 86th minute by Sebastian Bornau to keep Köln in the conversation of staying in the Bundesliga for another season. Obviously, they will play the playoff games against the second team of the Bundesliga, Zwei, with the other results, I think, going their way in the most part, with Arminia Bielefeld defeating Stuttgart to guarantee straight remain in the Bundesliga for one more season. Had they lost that game, of course, Köln would be the one remaining in the Bundesliga, and Bielefeld would be the ones playing playoff. Werder Bremen, though, are going to be facing the fate that they almost faced last season, which is relegation. They will be relegated. And after barely keeping themselves in the Bundesliga last season, they managed to, Borussia Mönchengladbach managed to sink them and put them down in the Bundesliga, in the second division of the Bundesliga. It is quite the scenes, really. Borussia Mönchengladbach scored 4 in the first half, just like Bayern did, and they really, 4 with the 67th minute, and they managed really to keep, to put Werder Bremen down and send them back into the Bundesliga. It's like quite the sad scene, really, for two sides like Werder Bremen and Schalke to see them going down to the second division. But definitely, we hope a speedy recovery, speedy return for them. FC Mainz, of course, a side that has been tremendous in the second part of the season, finished the season with a victory over Wolfsburg away from home, defeating them 3-2 in a very thrilling game. They took the lead. Wolfsburg then equalised. Then Robin Quaison gave him the second again. Then Victor Saar equalised for Wolfsburg before Stephen Bell scored the third goal in the 77th minute. I mean, a loss that wouldn't detract from a great season for Oliver Glasner. Finishing fourth is not bad, really, when you are, going to be back to the Champions League after 6 years or so. It's going to be quite the scene, obviously. For Wolfsburg, it's quite the achievement. It was a good season for them, semi-final of the DFB Pokal. So, he should be happy with the achievements that he has, and he should be happy with the way that his team was playing, particularly in the defence, and not being the second strongest defence in the Bundesliga behind Leipzig. so it's really, you're doing something there, and you have quite a good core to continue with for the next couple of seasons. Obviously, should they not lose some of their most important players, of course, likes of Riedel Baku, the likes of Maximilian Arnold, the likes of Wout Weghorst, from, of course, if he has a good Euro with Netherlands, who knows what could be the options in the summer. So the season is over in the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich are the champions, of course, 78 points. Leipzig, Dortmund and Wolfsburg are going with them to the Champions League. At second, third and fourth. Frankfurt with 60 points at fifth, going to the Europa League. Leverkusen at 6-2. Union Berlin going to the UEFA Conference League. And the three relegated, or the two relegated straight away, Bremen and Schalke or Köln, are going to be playing the Bundesliga playoffs for for the relegation playoffs to remain in the Bundesliga one more season. Hopefully for them, they would stay. I would say again, I mentioned that yesterday. I want my fellow Tunisian Lasky to stay because he's really, really, really good with that side. That's it for me. Thanks for watching / listening. I was your boy, the HID of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version of this podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates, and help us on the way to our first game on the channel. And also follow us on social media site PSP on Twitter, page Sideball on Instagram, listen on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Goodbye.